Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Pachatya Desatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Shri Jagannath Baldev Swadhamrani ki, Shri Prahlad Singh Dev Bhagwan ki, Shri Sai Gaur Sundar ki, Padit Panch Kupar ki. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Sisi Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki, Sisi Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki, Nitai Gaur Sundar ki, Patit Panch Prabhupada ki, Govinda ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayesu Abhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki. Starting from Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, entitled as The Signs of God. Chapter number 4, which is entitled as Hiranyakasipu terrorizes the universe. So I'll read the summary and then we will read some translations and discuss. Patit Panch Prabhupada ki jai. This chapter fully describes how Hiranyakasipu obtained power from Lord Brahma and misused it by harassing all the living entities within this universe. By severe austerities, Hiranyakasipu satisfied Lord Brahma and obtained the benedictions he desired. After he received these benedictions, his body, which had been almost entirely consumed, was revived with full beauty and a luster like gold. Nonetheless, he continued to be envious of Lord Vishnu, unable to forget Lord Vishnu's having killed his brother. Hiranyakasipu conquered everyone in the 10 directions and the 3 worlds and brought all the living entities, both demigods and asuras, under his control. Becoming the master of all the places, including the residence of Indra, whom he had driven out, he began enjoying life in a great luxury and thus became mad. All the demigods but Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, and Lord Shiva came under his control and began serving him. But despite all his material power, he was dissatisfied because he was always puffed up, proud of transgressing the Vedic regulations. All the Brahmanas were dissatisfied with him and they cursed him with determination. Eventually, all the living entities within the universe, represented by the demigods and sages, prayed to the Supreme Lord for relief from Hiranyakasipu's rule. Lord Vishnu informed the demigods that they and the other living entities would be saved from the fearful conditions created by Hiranyakasipu. Since Hiranyakasipu was oppressor of all the demigods, the followers of Vedas, the cows, the Brahmanas, and religious saintly persons, and since he was envious of the Supreme Lord, he would naturally be killed very soon. Hiranyakasipu's last exploit would be to torment his own son Prahlad, who was a Mahabhagavata and exalted Vaishnava. Then his life would end. When the demigods were thus reassured by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, everyone was satisfied, knowing that the miseries inflicted upon them by Hiranyakasipu would come to an end. Finally, Narad Muni describes the characteristics of Prahlad Maharaj, the son of Hiranyakasipu, and describes how his father envied his own qualified son. In this way, the chapter ends. Text 1. Srinarada Uvacha Evam Vita Sadhiti Hiranyakasipo Ratha Pradatapsa Prito Varanstasya Sudurlabhan. Translation. Narad Muni continued, Lord Brahma was very much satisfied by Hiranyakasipu's austerities, which were difficult to perform. Therefore, when solicited for benedictions, he indeed granted them, although they were rarely to be achieved. Let's continue with the translation. Sri Brahmorvacha tate me durlava pumsam yan vrinise varan mam tathapi vitaramyanga varan yadyapi durlabhan. Translation. Lord Brahma said, O Hiranyakasipu, these benedictions for which you have asked are difficult to obtain for most men. Nonetheless, O my son, I shall grant you them although they are generally not available. Material benedictions are not always exactly worthy of being called benedictions. If one possesses more and more, a benediction itself may become a curse. For just as achieving material opulence in this material world requires great strength and endeavor, maintaining it also requires great endeavor. Lord Brahma informed Hiranyakasipu that although he was ready to offer him whatever he had asked, the result of benedictions would be very difficult for Hiranyakasipu to maintain. Nonetheless, since Brahma had promised, he wanted to grant all the benedictions asked. The word Durlabhan indicates that one should not take benedictions one cannot enjoy peacefully. One should not take benedictions one cannot enjoy peacefully. Translation. Then Lord Brahma, who awards infallible benedictions, departed, being worshipped by the best of demons, Hiranyakasipu, and being praised by great sages and saintly persons. The demons Hiranyakasipu, having thus been blessed by Lord Brahma and having acquired a lustrous golden body, continue to remember the death of his brother and therefore be envious of Lord Vishnu. Purport. A demoniac person, in spite of acquiring all the opulences possible to obtain in this universe, continues to be envious of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Hiranyakasipu became the conqueror of the entire universe. Indeed, the great demons conquered all the planets in the three worlds, upper, middle, and lower, including the planets of human beings, the Gandharvas, Garudas, the great serpent, the Siddhas, Chanaras, Vidyadharas, the great saints, Yamaraja, the Manus, the Yakshas, Rakshasas, Pisachas, and their masters, and the masters of the ghosts and bhutas. He defeated the rulers of all the other planets where they are living entities and brought them under his control, conquering the abodes of all. He seized their power and influence. The word Garuda in this verse indicates that they are planets of great birds, like Garuda. Similarly, the word Uraga refers that they are planets of enormous serpents. Such a description of various planets of the universes may challenge modern scientists to think that all planets but this Earth are vacant. These scientists claim to have launched excursions to the moon where they have found no living entities but only big craters full of dust and stones. Although in fact the moon is so brilliant that it acts like the sun in illuminating the entire universe, of course, it is not possible to convince modern scientists of the Vedic information about the universe. Nonetheless, we are not very much impressed by the words of scientists who say that all the other planets are vacant and that only Earth is full of living entities. You see this? When Prabhupada was preaching into West, that time only this moon mission was going on. And everybody was talking about moon mission, that how America has landed and is superseding the Russia and sent the people to the moon. And finally they have found some small stones and some dust. And they say there is no living entity, it's fully vacant. Prabhupada In Lilamrita we read that Prabhupada will always oppose this. That how it is possible? The the god of vegetation doesn't have life in its own planet. See that all vegetations come from the moonlight. So all the tastes is coming derived from the moon rasas, and there is no living entities in the moon. So with this simple logic, Prabhupada will defy this. Of course, it is mentioned in scriptures, like here it is mentioned that there are so many living entities staying in different places, in all the places. Bhagavad Gita also says that living entities are everywhere, sarvagata. So even in the fire also there is a living entities. So their bodies and their capacities depends upon the planets, the place where they belong. It's like we see the living entities inside the water, and with their capacity we'll be surprised how they are able to do these things. And simply we see the birds, then also we'll be surprised how they are able to fly like this. But in their domain they are able to do all these things. This may look like for us like siddhis, perfection, some sort of yogic siddhis, but they are all blessed with different capacities. So the different living entities are mentioned, just like Gandharvas, Garudas, Siddhas, Chanaras, Vidyadharas, Yamaraja, Manu, Yakshas, Rakshasas, Pisachas, Bhuta, Preta, all these things. Their planets are also there. When we read Srimad Bhagavatam 5th canto, it is described all these things in more detail. Also distance of the planets from the earth is described, their dimensions, their diameter, everything is mentioned, very clearly it is mentioned. Also it is described how eclipses are taking place and how all the planetary constellations are affecting all the living entities. So it is mentioned here that how Hiranyakasipu brought all these planets under his control. He was such a big demon that he wanted everything to be under his control. And after bringing all this under his control, he started giving torture to everybody. We last time we heard that was his plan to all the sages and persons, demigods. He wanted them to give torture, and his mission was to kill Lord Vishnu. This is impossible, but that was his mission. So this enviousness, we see the people not accepting God, or they want to deny God. This is all demoniac tendencies, and this in Hiranyakasipu it is so prevalent. He is openly trying to do this, but nowadays we see that though people may not be so powerful, but they have the similar tendencies. This one famous priest, scientist, he wrote on the big wall, "God is dead," and it was like talk that God is dead. And after some time, the person is died. So people remove the God and put his name. So and so is dead. So like people go, Hiranyakasipu you'll see that he will be killed. By his own actions, he is going to be killed. That's assurance given by Lord. To all the devas, sages and devas, they came to pray to Lord Vishnu that please do something. It is going beyond our tolerance. We all suffering. Then Lord says, don't worry. He is going to be very soon killed by his own actions. And will be height of all this will be when he will try to torture his own son Prahalad, who will be a great Mahabhagavata. So you see that how by performing adharmic activities, one's opulence, duration of life, fame, all these things are destroyed. On the opposite, when we do some dharmic activities, then we increase all these things. So here Hiranyakasipu has accumulated so much of pious credits because he has performed severe austerities. Severe austerities, no one can even imagine, dream of that for so long. And Brahmaji is actually become satisfied by seeing his determination and austerity, and he is willing to award him anything he asks. He asked for immortality, that alone Brahmaji said, that I cannot give that because it's not under my capacity. So he asked for so many permutations and combinations to become immortal. Shouldn't die in day, shouldn't die in night, should not die by any weapon, neither by human being nor by animals, not day, night, not inside, not outside, like that. Whatever according to his intelligence, he was able to calculate. Everything is thought and asked. Brahmaji also thought that is too much actually. This is too much. But one thing he was feeling satisfied with his austerity, another thing there was no option for him. He has to give him some boon, otherwise he'll continue doing this austerity, and it was also giving trouble. While because of his austerity, so much of heat was producing that it's mentioned that all everywhere people started feeling suffocated. Like we see that how Dhruva Maharaja, when he performed austerity, he was able to capture the Supreme Lord inside his heart, and he became so heavy that just by pressing his toe, he was able to push the earth down. So he was such a great austerity he was performing. We see that when people perform some hunger strike, a simple, some 10 people may be sitting outside parliament and performing hunger strike, but then it becomes the talk in the whole parliament, and then people all over country, they start talking about this. That few people are so much determined to give up their life. Like this only, Hiranyakasipu was able to influence Lord Brahma. It's just performing so much severe austerity. The Lord Brahma was not willing to come. He was staying in his abode. But when it became too much, then he was forced to come. And he was also pleased to see such so nice, determined person he is. So he was willing to give him anything. We see that as soon as he got the opportunity, Hiranyakasipu, because he is carrying so much enviousness, anger, he got the boon and he started torturing the people. So Prabhupada is writing here in the purport that how much difficult it is to obtain all this material opulence. And similarly, it is also difficult to maintain them. Best thing is for devotees, is best thing is simple living. I think we should live simple lifestyle, and so that we will be able to think about the Lord. When we take up some luxurious lifestyle, then first thing is to have that we have to work so much hard, and then to maintain it again we have to work hard, and in this way our time is spent in these things. So devotees should live simple life, and they should meditate on the Lord and be engaged in service. In this way we can remain satisfied. It's mentioned here, Hiranyakasipu, though he got all the opulences of the whole world, 3 worlds, but was he satisfied? He was not satisfied. For after getting everything also he was not satisfied. In this world, there will be always someone who will be greater than us, and there will be someone who will be lesser than us. Only for the Lord, nobody is equal or greater than him. Therefore, one of the name of Lord is Asama Urdhva. There is no Sama equal or Urdhva greater for him. He is a Supreme Lord. But for all the other living entities, someone will be in higher situation and someone will be lower situation. So when we see someone in lower situation, then people become puffed up. When someone becomes higher, they is situated highly, seeing them, people become envious. And both is cause for dissatisfaction. Then we see that Hiranyakasipu, he became so envious of his own son Prahlad, because with all his energy he was not able to defeat him. And this Prahlad, though he was very small child, he was always very happy. He was always very satisfied, very happy, and Hiranyakasipu controlling whole universe, he was not happy. So that was also another reason he was become very envious. Hmm? Seeing, oh, this boy, this is nothing he is having, huh? And he's so happy. So actually, people who have Krishna consciousness, they can only be happy because their happiness is not coming from material objects. Their happiness is coming by their loving relationship with the Lord. So they are able to always be happy because Lord is Achyuta. His name is Achyuta, who never fails to reciprocate with his devotees. The meaning of that is who never fails to reciprocate with his devotees. So whenever essentially some service is offered, the Lord reciprocates. So Prahlad Maharaja, he was always so deeply satisfied inside his heart. Hmm? As 5 years old boy, even though Hiranyakasipu he was torturing him, but he was not at all affected, not at all angry or disturbed. This was making him more and more envious, more and more depressed. So Hiranyakasipu tried to kill Prahlad but so many ways, but he could not do anything. Because Rakhe Krishna, Mare Krishna Rakhe. They're saying that if Krishna wants to protect, who can kill? And we see in Hiranyakasipu's case, though he had all the boons not to die, and Krishna has decided to kill him, then nobody could protect him. All these boons could not protect him. He was just simply thinking this and that, all boons he has asked. Before Narsimhadev, when he appeared, he was thinking, okay, this one is cancelled, this one is cancelled, this one is cancelled. Finally, everything is cancelled. Now time has come. He was calculating. It's not neither day nor night. No. He was thinking, how is going to kill me? Should have some weapon. Then the Lord Nrsimhadev just with his fingernail killed him. Fingernail is not considered as a weapon also. So finally he was killed. If Krishna has decided to kill, no one can protect. And if Krishna is decided to protect, no one can kill. You can see this through these past times. So therefore one should always take shelter of the Supreme Lord. Supreme Lord alone is capable of giving shelter. Nobody else. No one can protect from death. No one can give protection from death. Everyone is to die. Yeah. People who have taken birth, they are dying. Only the Lord can protect, give the shelter, can save one from the death. Therefore it is said that Ananya, one should take the only shelter of the Supreme Lord, because he is worthy of taking shelter. He can protect one from death. Hiranyakasipu took shelter of Brahmaji. He performed so severe austerities, but Brahmaji couldn't save him from death. We see that similarly Ravana also performed so severe austerities and he pleased Shivji, but he was killed. We see the Banasur. Banasur also, he was killed by Krishna. The Lord Shiva is personally protecting. With his associate, he was protecting him. But even then, he was defeated. So the Lord Krishna or Lord Vishnu alone is worthy of taking shelter, because the Lord protects his devotees, and this is Lord's determination also, that he gives shelter. Yesterday Maharaj was telling that how the Lord has taken the vow that even once someone says, I am yours, from that time onwards, it is actually the Lord takes the complete charge upon that person, gives him all protection. These are the past times of Lord Ramachandra when he was exiled. He was in the forest. One throne picked inside his lotus feet, and it was seen by Sita Maya. And Sita Maya is saying, oh my Lord, please sit down. Let me remove this throne. Then Lord refused. He said that how can I remove this throne when he's taken shelter of my lotus feet? So the Lord did not allow to remove even the throne. what to speak about the living entities. So if you take shelter of the Lord gives shelter. It's called Param Ashraya, the supreme shelter. He gives shelter to his devotees. In this case of Prahlad Maharaj, we should learn how Prahlad Maharaj has taken the shelter of the Lord. Generally, his children will be depending on their parents. But the Prahlad Maharaj was not depending upon anyone. He was just depending on the Lord. And from the Lord also, he did not had any expectations. He was just thinking about him, just glorifying him. He was willing. He was just want to serve him. He was not thinking that let Lord come and protect from elephant. Let him come and protect me from the poison, or let me save me when I am, thrown from the cliff of a hill. So he was not thinking about all these things. He was just thinking about the Lord, and it was the Lord who was worrying how to save him. The Lord was always worrying how to save. The Lord actually is in Bhagavad Gita also is telling that Yoga Kshemam Vahami Ham. The Lord personally protects his devotees personally. So the Lord was personally appearing in different ways and protecting Prahlad. And finally, when Hiranyakasipu took himself the sword to kill, the Lord actually appeared in front of Hiranyakasipu. And he was killed because he was so much determined to kill Prahlad that was not possible. And he was killed. So we should be very confident and take shelter of the Lord. And present time, the Lord has appeared in his name. Kali Kale Nam Rupe Tav Avatara. The Lord has appeared. The same Lord Nrsimhadev came out of the pillar to save Prahlad. Same the Lord has appeared in his holy name. So one should take the shelter of the holy name. Should chant the names of Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Like Prahlad Maharaj was always thinking about the Lord. Similarly, we should chant the holy name of the Lord. We see that we will be able to overcome all the difficulties of present time just by chanting, taking shelter of the names of the Lord. See how Prabhupada, just depending on the Lord, he conquered all over the world, established Krishna consciousness movement just by the depending on the holy name. Similarly, when we depending on the holy name, all success, all victory will come to us. Param Vijayate Sankirtanam. So there is all glories, all victories to Sankirtan movement. We have to just chant the names of Lord and continue our service. We'll all come victorious. We'll continue. Hiranyakasipu Devo Dhyana Shriya Justam Adhyayaste Sma Tripistapam Mahendra Bhavanam Sakshat Nirmitam Vishwakarmana Tailoke Lakshyat Yatan Madhyuvasakhil Dhimata. Hiranyakasipu, who possessed all opulence, began residing in heaven with its famous Nandan garden, which is enjoyed by the demigods. In fact, he resided in the most opulent palace of Indra, the king of heaven. The palace had been directly constructed by the demigod architect Vishwakarma and was as beautifully made as if goddess of fortune of the entire universe resided there. So this all opulence of heaven, we cannot even dream of these things. It's mentioned here. From this description, it appears that all the heavenly planets of the upper planetary systems are thousands upon thousands of times more opulent than the lower planetary systems in which we live. Vishwakarma, the famous heavenly architect, is known as constructor of many wonderful buildings in the upper planets, where there are not only beautiful buildings but also many opulent gardens and parks, which are described as Nandan Devo Dhyana, gardens quite fit to be enjoyed by the demigods. This description of the upper planetary systems and its opulences is to be understood from the authoritative scriptures like Vedic literatures. Telescopes and the other imperfect instruments of scientists are inadequate for evaluating the upper planetary systems. Although such instruments are needed because the vision of the so-called scientist is imperfect, the instruments themselves are also imperfect. Therefore, the upper planets cannot be appraised by imperfect men using imperfect man-made instruments. Direct information received from the Vedic literature, however, is perfect. We therefore cannot accept the statements that there are no opulent residences on planets other than this earth. So these are all very simple statements, but people who are in too much science, they will be really will be blowing for them. Is what is said there. There are so many opulent places in the heavenly world. It's like there are so many parks, so many places like this. People will be simply thinking, oh, this is all imagination or some fairy tale. But it is not fairy tale. It's mentioned in Bhagavatham. It's mentioned in Vedic literatures. It is fact. It's a truth. So it'll be very hard for people to believe, because the basic understanding is not there about how the universe is being created, about uh, different energies of the Lord. Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki jai, Shri Prahlad Nrsimhadev Bhagwan ki jai, Nitai Gaur Sundar ki jai. When we are only understand the material, we have only understanding of material things, then we will not be able to, it will be very hard for us to accept this. But we understand the spiritual nature, then we'll start appreciating these things. Prabhupada always comment this Dr. Frog, vision of Dr. Frog. The small frog in the whale, he is trying to calculate the dimensions of the Atlantic Ocean. It is never possible for him because he is limited. He can only think about the dimensions of the whale, and with that we cannot calculate the dimensions of Atlantic Ocean. So it is mentioned, Prabhupada is telling that with the imperfect vision and the help of imperfect instruments, what we can know. We cannot know about the whole universe. You can see here in this earth itself we are struggling. So if you want to know, then there is authority of the Vedic literatures. Through that we can understand. And if we see about our own existence, we see that we are all Atma, spiritual, spirit, soul. Then actually it makes more sense to purify us, and then exist in our own Swarupa. We are all aspiring to become happy, and then how we can really be happy? That by serving the Lord. So this all will come when we start understanding about our spiritual identity. The steps of King Indra's residence were made of coral, the floor was bedecked with invaluable emeralds, the walls were crystal, and the columns of Vaidurya stone. The wonderful canopies were beautifully decorated. The seats were bedecked with rubies, and silk bedding, as white as foam, was decorated with pearls. The ladies of the palace, who were blessed with beautiful teeth and the most wonderfully beautiful faces, walked here and there in the palace. Their ankle bells tinkled melodiously and saw their own beautiful reflections in the gems. The demigods, however, being very much oppressed, had to bow down and offer obeisances at the feet of Hiranyakasipu, who chastised the demigods very severely and for no reasons. Thus Hiranyakasipu lived in the palace and severely ruled everyone. Purport: Hiranyakasipu was so powerful in the heavenly planet that all the demigods except Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu were forced to engage in his service. Indeed, they were afraid of being severely punished if they disobeyed him. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti has compared Hiranyakasipu to Maharaj Vena, who was also atheistic and scornful of the ritualistic ceremonies mentioned in the Vedas. Yet Maharaj Vena was afraid of some of the great sages such as Bhrigu, whereas Hiranyakasipu ruled in such a way that everyone feared him but Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva. Hiranyakasipu was so alert against being burnt to ashes by the anger of great sages like Bhigu that by dint of austerities he surpassed their power and placed even them under his subordination. It appears that even in the higher planetary systems to which people are promoted by pious activities, disturbances are created by asuras like Hiranyakasipu. No one in the three worlds can live in peace and prosperity without disturbance. So this is what Krishna says, Dukkhalayam asasvatam. This world is temporary and full of miseries. We see that not only here, even in heavenly planets, there are miseries. People cannot always live peacefully. There will be Hiranyakasipu coming, Ravana will be coming, the other day so many demons will be coming. So there are so many miseries inflicted. But one thing is sure, if people are working very hard here for little wealth, but somehow or other if they accumulate some pious credits, if they go to heavenly planets, then they can enjoy very opulently for a very long time. In this life, people work hard to accumulate some money. Hmm? They accumulate few crores. By the time they accumulate, they cannot enjoy. They have to leave the money and go. And they die with anxiety only, how to save these things. They really want to enjoy, should do some pious activities, and then go to heavenly planets. They can really enjoy. Even they will not be able to dream all this enjoyment which is mentioned here, opulence. And but all this enjoyment will end at one point of time. And while they are enjoying also, they have to go through some disturbances like Hiranyakasipu. So that's also peacefully they cannot always enjoy. So best thing is within this life, when we have some time with us, we should practice devotional service. By practicing devotional service, we will be able to go to spiritual world. There we can eternally live blissfully. You can always live in full happiness and satisfaction in service of the Lord. And there is no coming back. There is no loss, no disturbances. Therefore, this place is called Vaikuntha, free of any type of anxiety. So we should aspire to go to those places. And how we can go? Very simple. We have to just purify ourselves, our existence by chanting Hare Krishna, engaging ourselves in service. While doing this, we can experience happiness, and after this, we can go back to spiritual world and always be happy. Nantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Patit Panchla Prabhupada ki jai.